If we merge some light year in a titanic quaking collision, perhaps we both see something new.
Does that make sense to
Yeah,
you?
no, it does. I feel like so like one of the books we had to read was by Roger Olson, who's a pretty conservative white theologian, and in his introduction to the story of Christian theology, he talked about, like, he admitted a lot of the ethics issues that have been done by those who are in power throughout Christian history. But he said basically that he thinks that they got their theology right despite their ethics issues. And for me, it was like, I can't divorce ethics from your theology. And so to me, the ethics of power and hierarchy and abuse are flowing from a theology of hierarchy and power and abuse. And your views of justice, this retributive justice that they preach, people are mirroring that in the way they treat one another. Like, is that similar to what you're talking about?
Yeah, I had a signal experience years old, 40 years ago, I guess now. There was a black preacher named William Augustus Jones, Bill Jones, who wrote a book, God in the Ghetto. And Bill Jones came and was a preacher in Little Rock at a ministers' conference at Arkansas Baptist College. And Bill Jones, during one of his sermons, uh, said something that goes just to the point you just made. And it's also something he writes in God in the Ghetto. He said, bad theology always produces dysfunctional sociology. And dysfunctional sociology produces demented psychology. No, bad theology produces demented psychology. Demented psychology produces dysfunctional sociology. Dysfunctional sociology always produces oppressive anthropology, and then they always produce oppressive economics and ideologies. He said it all flows from bad theology. If your notion of God is wrong or flawed, your notion of self and others and power is wrong. To your point you just made.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's where I've tried to spend my efforts. Uh, Part of what I'm wrestling with in the current moment we're living in is the the underperformance, the underperformance of faithful people in the face of glaring oppression, whether it's the glaring oppression of environmental injustice, climate change, global warming, rising sea levels, people being displaced because of droughts and floods that are related to the the wrong use of human power and the exploitation of the environment, or whether it's the oppressive realities of racism and sexism, homophobia, transphobia, the oppression of xenophobia, the ways that authoritarian faith uh, has become sacralized and even embraced what is can be only be called neo-fascism, and the relative silence of the faithful community in the face of that. Uh, I believe that 15 years from now, theologians and religious writers and religious historians are going to look back on this time and ask, what in the world was happening that people of faith were not leading the voices of protest? We're not leading the cries against neo-fascism, about authoritarianism, about the exploitation of the climate and the environment, about the gross wealth disparities. That people of faith were not talking about that. I mean, people are, why were people of faith not talking about the fact that we've got two guys, Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson, trying to figure out how to spend their money going into space on a junket?
Yeah.
When we have people who are living in the streets during a global pandemic and are being put out of their homes, we have realtors who are fussing because they can't put them out of their homes. And the most important thing people want to talk about is two guys trying to do a private space race.
Yeah.
I think that people are going to ask, why in the world are we talking about that? What happened to us?